I better hit record now because there is a bitch session coming up.
Ooh, where's my popcorn?
It's just retail. It's just apologies to all our retail working listeners out there, but this is not an apology to you. This is a heartfelt sympathies, as in this is the dumbest. Sorry, I have an antique shop and we're having a big summer festival tomorrow. And so I had to walk through the whole store and make sure I'd priced everything. It's a lot of things that were not priced. And when you price things that are antiques, you have to literally research every single individual item. If anyone out there is thinking, I've always wanted an antique shop, stop that right now.
You don't.
Stop it. Stop. Yeah, no. You know what you should do instead? You should write a fabulous query letter.
Oh, nice segue. Right into it we go.
Right. Because this is supposed to be snip snap.
Yep.
Podcast.
In and out.
I'm Jeannie Follett-Bowerman.
And I'm Ciara Duggan.
And you are listening to The Story Will Save You.
Speaking of just getting right into it, yeah, I came across an editor who I saw the advice they gave. It was in a query letter, you should always, always, always reveal the ending of your story. And my mind was blown because I was always taught you never, ever reveal the ending of your story in a query letter. It was always, it should be like the blurb on the back of the book. The query letter is meant to entice the agent or editor to want to read more, to want to find out your ending. This caused me to, ask around. I asked you, Jeannie. I was like, what? Am I crazy? Am I in the wrong? Have I been totally wrong this entire time? And we found out that it's like a very hot topic in the publishing industry.
Mm-hmm. So we decided that we would talk about it and maybe debate it a little bit. And since I am a freak about endings, probably one of my biggest pet peeves, there's nothing that makes me so angry as when I've spent hours and hours reading a book and the ending is stupid. like not just bad, but just nonsensical or lazy or felt rushed. Like their agent was saying to them, hurry up, end this book because we got to get going,
Or those endings that it's like, and it was all a dream. You're like, ugh. Such anger.
Like, yeah, no. I want the Who Shot JR ending, not the Bobby's in the shower. Okay, for anyone who's not as old as me, that's a reference to the TV show Dallas.
Thank you, because I did not get that. I was like smiling and nodding. I was like, sure.
Oh, God, there's probably 100 things about pop culture, current pop culture, that you could mention that I would have no idea what you were talking about, except I do know about Love Island.
Yeah, it's good. Although I haven't watched the latest American season because I started watching Love Island UK seasons and it's such good trash. I can't get enough. And then you go to the American and you're like, oh, it's just not as good. They can't capture it. But I haven't watched the latest one, so I don't know.
Well, I believe it was in my house going all day because my daughter's visiting. So while I was at the store, she was catching up on Love Island. I know.
Oh, that's awesome.
Okay, anyway, first of all, let's back up. When it comes to any kind of like hard and fast advice, there are certain things in a query letter that absolutely have to be there. No question. It's not a subjective thing. They just have to be there. But there's other things like endings. I personally don't think it's going to make or break your chances if you don't write the ending or if you write the ending in your query. But it doesn't appear that there's a hard and fast rule that you should do it or you should not do it. It's sort of whatever you think. My personal feeling, okay, so say you write a romance. Obviously, it's probably going to be a happy ending, blah, blah, blah. Then I feel like you don't really have to reveal that because it's kind of obvious. But if for some reason you twisted it and you made it an unhappy ending, then maybe reveal that. But reveal it in a way that makes the agent understand maybe why you did it that way. So make sure you put enough information in that so that it doesn't look like they don't understand what romance is. And if it's one of those endings that's like The Sixth Sense, where I see dead people and the guy is dead. So, sorry, spoiler alert. I feel
You're
like
supposed
that
to say
should be,
spoiler alert before you spoil it.
well, whatever. Too bad. I ruined it. But then it feels like that kind of ending you should put in there, because that, to me, when I watched that movie, that made it. Like, that elevated the movie like a million times because of the ending.
Right.
What are your thoughts?
So here's my question. So for me, the purpose of a synopsis is to then reveal how the entire story unfolds and you lead to that incredible ending. So if an agent is asking for a synopsis as well, obviously you're querying, you have to include a query letter. If they're asking for the synopsis, then would you still recommend putting the ending in your query?
I feel like if it's something like The Sixth Sense, like something that's really different, then I would do it.
Here's another question I have. You have such little space in a query letter to kind of get across, like, this is the crux of my story. This is why it's compelling and why you should read it. And I feel like a lot of the times to get to the ending and for it to make sense and for it to be satisfying, you need all the little bits that lead to it. And if you don't have enough time to lead up to it, I feel like you might risk, if you include the ending, you might risk it being like, wait, like you don't have the proper lead up to it for it to have that impact. I could also definitely be overthinking this and also just coming from years of like, don't include the ending. But I do see kind of the point of like, if I'm an agent who gets queried all the time, I don't have the time to read an entire manuscript just to be like so let down by the ending. But that is why I would request a synopsis.
Mm-hmm.
It probably just depends on your story and who you're querying it to, because I feel like everyone's going to have a different preference.
Maybe you have two queries written, one that reveals the ending and one that doesn't. And you look at the agent's submission guidelines. And if they just want the query letter and they don't want a synopsis, then decide which one you think is stronger, you know? But if they want the synopsis, then you know the ending is going to be revealed in the synopsis, maybe in a better way.
Yeah.
I could go either way on this. So to me, if I were personally doing it, I would reveal the ending if it was something really crazy, mind-blowing. Oh my God. Like if the ending really was that strong. But if the ending was just kind of like a limpy, like it just like a normal ending, like no shocker, no whatever, like I don't know that I would do it. You could also make the argument that endings are something that can change. So like if the agent reads the whole thing, loves the book, but doesn't like the ending, they could be like, you know what, everything led up to this might be a better way to end it, and then have that conversation. But if the whole book is strong and it's the end, I mean, the endings can be changed. So I don't think an agent's going to say, yeah, I don't like that ending, like in a query. If they love the setup, they might be like, oh yeah, I could work on that, but I love their voice in the query, I love whatever. I would say don't include the ending unless you think it was super strong. Like there's a reason to include it.
Now that I'm thinking about it, I can't stand is when you read a query letter and they don't end it on anything of agency. The query letter, the story part is ended on like, and they must overcome their fear. That's it. They encounter obstacles that lead to a surprising ending. You're like, well, that could be anything. Like if it's too vague, then it's like, it's hard. You have to balance being specific enough, but also not giving too much away if you're choosing not to reveal your ending. But if you are choosing to reveal your ending, it has to be super compelling. But that's the other thing. It's like everything is so subjective that what I might think is so compelling, an agent or an editor might be like, been there, done that, or like, oh, that doesn't make any sense with the concept. Or so basically
we have no idea.
We weigh the pros and cons, but as is everything with publishing, it's so subjective. You'll get agents who want different things and editors who want different things, and it's just kind of a crapshoot sometimes.
But one argument for including the ending is that it shows them that you can stick the landing. You know, like that you can tell this great story and you also can end it with the ending is the last taste in the reader's mouth. So when I don't like the ending, it makes me just pissed off about the whole entire book.
Yeah. But
And
then I've also seen agents when giving advice on like what they want to see in a query letter. I've heard agents say that the query letter is not the place to spoil the ending because if they already know the ending, what's compelling them to actually read the work? I understand it's a business and agents need to read their client's work either way, whether they know the ending or not. But it plucks a little bit of the joy and the journey out of reading the story.
what they do is reading all day long, all over and over and over, reading so much that, like, I think your argument is saying if they don't know what the ending it is, at least that's one little fun surprise that they
Yeah,
could potentially have, as opposed to opening the book already knowing how it ends.
right. But then, like you were saying, agents are so busy that they
Mm-hmm.
don't want to waste their time with then having a dud ending.
I feel like if you give them the query and their MO is to kind of ask for the first 50 pages or the first whatever, maybe they're the kind of agent that doesn't always ask for the full, they ask for some. For that, I feel like for that kind of agent, I feel like it would be great for them to know the ending ahead of time because they're asking for the partial to see if you could write,
Fair. Yeah,
you
that's a
know?
good point.
And really that's asking for anything is first to see if you could write because they're not going to finish it if you can't write.
Right.
They'll be like, you are really good at query letters, but the book, not so much.
Yeah. I actually find that sometimes when doing contest entries, and this is going off
Mm-hmm.
topic a little bit, but both ways, I'll read a synopsis and I'll be like, oh, that was like not great. But then you read the pages and you're like, oh my gosh, this is so compelling. But what's so disappointing then is when you read a synopsis and you're like, oh my God, this is it. This is going to be the winner. And then you read the pages and you're like, oh, it just didn't execute it on the page.
Since we're talking about the contest, which we should do a whole other thing about the contest, but
Yes.
I always struggle with which do I read first, the synopsis or the pages. I don't know which one does all that I care about is doing the writer justice. So
Mm-hmm.
it's like, which one of those things should I read first? And it's very tempting for me to read the synopsis first because I'm an endings person. I want to know how it ends. Because a lot of times people don't start the book where they should start the book. They start it too early.
Mm-hmm.
So they could cut those first couple chapters out completely. That's why I like the synopsis part of it, because if their writing is really strong in those whatever they give us, I don't care if they started too early because that can, again, be changed. But I just am looking for really good writing. But the synopsis is looking for a really good storyteller.
Yeah. No, I definitely alternate. I think
Mm-hmm. I
if
do
I'm
too.
like if I'm like starting like warming up in a judging session, I like to read the synopsis first because then it's like, okay, I'm getting a sense of what they're going for, like the tone of it, the whole concept, and then to see if that kind of translates to the pages. But once I feel like I'm warmed up, I'm like, okay, I'm going to dive into the pages first and see if they pull me in. And if they don't, I'll still go visit the synopsis and see if like there's any way to kind of salvage the pages.
Mm-hmm.
I'll always read both, but I feel
Yeah, me
like
too.
sometimes if you start with the pages and you just see that it just needs too much work, it's not quite there. Because that's the other thing. I feel like a lot of the times when we
Have we
pass,
changed topics? This is like a dual
yeah,
episode.
yes, we've changed topics. Well, we're about on submission in general, but yes,
That's
we've
right.
changed topics. I'm going to finish this thought and then we can get back to.
Okay.
I just want to say, I feel like sometimes when we path, it's not because the story doesn't have promise or the writing doesn't have a lot of potential. It's just that it's not quite there yet and probably needs like another pass or two before it's
Yeah.
submission ready.
And judging is actually fun. And we
It's
really
very
love
fun.
it.
You just get to read. Like it's
I
awesome.
know. It's like great. With a query, for me, as somebody who has never queried a literary agent, I was in the screenwriting world for many years, and querying and screenwriting is very different. They just care about the log line, which is also vague. It
Mhm.
doesn't tell the ending. Okay, so I've decided what my bottom line is. You ready?
Okay, I'm ready.
Okay,
I'm excited.
I know. I don't know that I'm excited because I'll probably forget what my bottom line is before I say it. Okay, my bottom line is that the point of the query is to let them know there's an interesting character that has a very clear goal and there's some sort of evolution for them, but there's also potential for a ton of conflict. Because if your little query, that little tiny synopsis in the query doesn't show all that, besides the things like word count, comps, right, blah, blah. But we're just talking about the story summary section, the short summary. Then it doesn't matter if you reveal the ending or not, because there's not enough conflict there, to get you to the ending. So I would focus mostly on that, like the meat of the story that's going to make a reader want to keep turning the pages and stay with you for hundreds of pages. But if there was something really compelling about your ending, real twist, different, whatever, then I would put it in. That's my 2 cents.
I like it. And while you were saying that, when you're saying like, if there's like a big twist, there's so many query letters that end on like, and not all is what it seems or something.
Or, and there's a twist ending.
And there's a twist ending. Yeah. Don't do that. Yeah. At that stage, if there really is like this, and not all is what it seems, and it's really cool ending, then yeah, maybe include it, because I think including it is better than ending it on not all is what it seems to be. Bum, bum, bum. My like deep dramatic voice coming to theaters near you in 2024. In general, and I know this is so annoying, but it's just so subjective. And if you're going on sub, do as much research as you can and find out what your agent or the editor or imprint or whatever wants. And if they specify, just follow their instructions as best you can. If there are no instructions, then you can take our 2 cents however you want.
Read the directions.
Speaking of reading directions, I like to say in query letters at the very end, per your submission guidelines, I have included, and then you list exactly what they said to include, because it shows that you pay attention and that you read their guidelines.
And one other thing I want to say too is that there are a lot of other podcasts out there that talk about query letters and agent sites. So definitely go and research stuff. But one podcast that we love is The Shit No One Tells You About Writing. And they literally review query letters. And it's a great way to learn. Bianca, Carly, and Cecilia go over all the query letter stuff. And I'm sure they have covered this topic before. Mm-hmm. I have missed that episode if they did. So I'd love to have them chime in on the subject, but we can certainly post them on Twitter and see what they say about the revealing endings or not revealing the endings. But they're another great resource that you guys should check out.
And we're going to be posting, when we post this on social media, we'll have you guys comment if you so desire and share your thoughts or your experiences with query letters and
but no yelling at us.
Yeah, be nice. No trolls, please.
And no yelling at other people if they say, oh no, absolutely this or absolutely that. I'm kind of like in that stage of life where I feel like there is no absolute anymore. Like everybody just take a chill pill. Like there are certain things that are rules that you absolutely have to do. I will give you that. But I don't think this is one of them. But that's just me. I may be wrong and I'm open to that.
Me too.
I'd like everyone to know this is late on a Friday and it's been a very hot week.
Yeah. Muggy.
Humid. And if I ever put these up on YouTube, you will see my dog's tail wagging over there.
Please don't put it up on YouTube. I'm pretty sure I have like grease from my son's food on my shirt.
Yeah.
Stuff. I don't know why I chose to wear white, but with a toddler. But I did. I was brave today. It didn't go well.
Well, that's okay. Someday Finn will be on Love Island and all will be fine.
Oh, God. No.
See, that's not a good ending. We won't include that. The Story Will Save You is a Pipeline Artists original podcast. Like, subscribe, and follow us on social media at Pipeline Artists and at Book Pipeline. For more information, visit pipelineartist.com and bookpipeline.com, where we have contests for unpublished manuscripts as well as for published books that would make great adaptations for either film or television. Learn more about our efforts to help writers find publishing success on bookpipeline.com. Until next time, let the story save you.